Okay, so are you ready to dive deep into the world of table tennis?
You mean ping pong?
Well, yeah, I guess most people know it as ping pong.
It is the same thing, right?
Yeah, I just, wanted to sound fancy.
Well, you said some pretty fascinating stuff about it, about its history and the
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah, and the techniques too.
So, are we going to try to make everyone listening sound like experts?
That's the goal. We're going to try to cover like everything from the basics to like the crazy spins and stuff. Did you know that table tennis started as like a parlor game back in the 19th century?
Really?
Yeah, it's come a long way to become the like super intense Olympic sport it is now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Something you'd play at a dinner party turned into this like really competitive thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I actually tried playing table tennis once and it was so much harder than I thought it would
Oh.
be. Yeah, like I couldn't even keep up with the ball. I realized pretty quickly that, it's not just about hitting the ball hard. It's about outsmarting your opponent.
Oh, for sure.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, maybe we should start with the basics. Like, what exactly I ask the objective of the game?
Well, I mean, at its heart, it's pretty simple. You hit the ball over the net, and you got to make sure your opponent can't hit it back.
Simple. Huh.
Yeah, but don't let that fool you. What makes table tennis so, exciting is the speed, the precision, and all the strategy involved.
Okay, so how does scoring work in this super strategic battle?
It's kind of similar to volleyball. You play games to 11 points.
Okay,
You got to win by 2 points, though.
gotcha.
Matches are usually best of 5 or 7 games.
Okay, so it's like a miniature, like super fast volleyball, but with paddles and a much smaller court.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
So speaking of the equipment, let's talk about those paddles. Like, what's the deal with them?
Well, the equipment's like a huge part of the game.
Okay.
The table's a standard size, 2.74 meters by 1.525 meters.
Wow. Okay.
And it has a dark surface with white lines. And those lines are super important. They determine whether the ball's in or out.
Makes sense.
And this standardization is really key for, making sure the game's fair,
Oh, for sure.
no matter where you play.
Yeah.
Then you've got the paddle or racket, and it's made of wood and rubber.
Okay.
But there are different types of rubber, and those affect how fast and how much spin you can put on the ball.
So like a beginner like me would just grab any old paddle.
Maybe, but the pros, they really care about what their paddles are made of.
I bet.
It's like choosing a tennis racket,
Yeah.
Different materials for different play styles.
That makes sense. What about the ball? It seems, pretty standard, but is there anything special about it?
You'd be surprised. It's tiny, only 40 millimeters across.
Okay.
And it's really light.
How light?
Only 2.7 grams? Yeah. It's that lightweight design that lets players hit it so fast and have those crazy rallies. Even the smallest touch can send that thing flying across the table.
It's amazing how like something so simple can be so complex.
Right.
And speaking of complex, what about serving the ball? You mentioned there was a unique rule right there.
Yep. The serve in table tennis is totally different from any other racket sport.
How so?
Well, you have to bounce the ball on your side of the table first,
Okay.
and then it has to bounce on your opponent's side.
So you can't just like slam it over the net like in tennis.
Nope. And it's not just some random rule. It makes players be strategic right from the start.
So you got to think about placement, spin, and how your opponent might return the ball. It's like a chess match on the tabletop.
Exactly.
Speaking of different ways to hit the ball, I'm guessing there are some specific techniques, right? For all these different situations.
Absolutely. Think of the different strokes like tools in a toolbox. You've got drives, loops, smashes, chops, blocks. Each one's used for a different purpose.
Wow, that's a lot to keep track of. Okay, so can you break down like what each of those are?
Sure. A drive is your power shot, like a slam in tennis.
Yeah.
A loop uses topspin to create this high arcing shot that's really tough to return.
Ooh, tricky.
And then there are smashes. Those are like finishing moves, a powerful downward hit when the ball's high up in the air.
Okay.
Then for defense, you've got chops, which use backspin to slow down the game and keep the ball low. And blocks are used to deflect your opponent's power shots.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But you mentioned spin earlier. Is that like really as important as everyone says it is?
Oh, absolutely. Spin is what really makes table tennis unique compared to other racket sports.
Yeah.
Imagine like a tennis ball suddenly changing directions, like dipping and diving in the air.
Whoa, like it's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, that's kind of what spin does in table tennis.
That's crazy.
You got top spin, which makes the ball dive down,
Okay.
back spin, which sends it floating up,
Uh-huh.
And side spin makes it like a curveball in baseball, but like way faster.
Right.
And it's all happening on a table.
So not only do you have to hit the ball hard, but you also need to, like, make it dance all over the table.
Exactly.
It's a mind game as much as it is physical.
For sure.
So is it always just you against one other person, or are there other ways to play?
Oh, yeah. Table tennis has different formats. You can play singles, which is just you against one other player.
Okay.
And there's doubles, where you play with a partner and you take turns hitting the ball. You switch servers every 2 points.
Okay.
And then in the Olympics and World Championships, there are team events. Those are a big deal.
It's amazing how much there is to this sport.
Isn't it?
Seems like there's something for everyone. So even if you're not, training for the Olympics, you can still find your place in the table tennis world.
Definitely.
But what about, like, everyday benefits? Can playing ping pong, table tennis, can that help you improve other skills?
Absolutely. Table tennis is amazing for your reflexes, your hand-eye coordination, and your concentration. And those are all skills that can help you in other areas of your life, too.
That's awesome.
And the best part,
What's that?
anyone can play. It doesn't matter how old you are or how fit you are.
It really is the perfect activity.
I know, right?
So we've explored, like, everything, from the rules and equipment to all the different spins and ways to play. It's obvious that table tennis is, like, way more than meets the eye.
It really is. Thinking about all the strategy, skill, and mental focus involved, it makes you wonder.
What's that?
Do you think table tennis should be seen as more of a mental sport than a physical one?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do you think?
I don't know. It's tough to say. But I'd love to hear what everyone listening thinks.
Yeah, let us know. And if you have any, like, interesting table tennis trivia or tips or stories, share those too. We'd love to hear them.
Maybe we'll even get inspired to pick up a paddle ourselves after all this.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Anyway, until next time, keep exploring.